Okay, now we're going to take a look at a set that starts with pulling guard, and we can pull guard right into submissions, and most of what we've looked at so far has been really the idea of setting up a direct attack to a submission. But I want to expand our thinking to more think about setting a game plan that allows us to get into a position where we can catch submission that doesn't necessarily involve getting to a submission immediately. So what do we mean? So match starts, a simple way to pull guard no-gi is to get any kind of double grip, meaning it could be that we both grab and I grab his elbow. It could be that I grab two grips here. I could have a 2-on-1. Any of these are fine. Any two grips will allow me to get the next kind of guard pull we're talking about. We'll come back and look at all the details in depth, but I want to talk more about the concept of pulling guard, sweeping our opponent, using this to pass their guard, and then using the position we land in to set up a submission, and then having an array of possibilities here. So that wasn't a guard pull into a submission, but it was still a coherent or concise game plan that allowed us to get to an offensive spot right away, get our points if that's what we're thinking about, but have that lead to a submission immediately as soon as we get on top, or rather as soon as we pass. So let's break this down. So most of us learned the lumberjack sweep from the closed guard when the opponent stands up. Here, we grab their ankles and we knock them back. But we don't need our legs on the outside to catch the submission, or the sweep rather. Our legs could easily be on the inside because the mechanism is his ankles are stuck in place and something, whether it be our hamstrings or in this case our shins, pushes his legs back. So we're going to get, again, any double grip, meaning I have two hands grabbing him. We're going to step in and hook behind a knee. I'm going to sit down, and as I'm sitting, my foot pulls him in. Then my second leg cups. I keep one grip until I get an ankle, I get the second ankle. Now the basic idea is I'm just pushing back. If he stabilizes though, now pushing is tough, so I'm gonna lift my hips and spread his knees. Here. Later on, we're gonna see how his legs being exposed, we could go directly into a submission. We're gonna use this to come up with him and come into a knee cut pass. We're going to make sure to get an underhook, and we could cup his shoulder, but in this case, we're going to stay on his tricep here. As we pass, because we have this underhook, we can go for a far side spinning armbar. We push his head down slightly, we step our foot over, this hand posts in line with his hip, and I turn 180. Before I sit, let's rotate this way, please. If I simply sit, notice how my hips come away from his shoulder. I can still finish, it's a fine situation, but if I take advantage of the fact that my hand is posted to actually push my foot into his shoulder, now I'm a lot closer to his shoulders with my hips, and we're in a better position to finish.
So this shin here was already in place before you sat back?
That's it. I lift my instep and shove it into your shoulder. Now again, we know his hitchhiker involves his wrist going that way, so we're going to turn it this way, and we can finish right here. Now, while we're here, there are some important situations to talk about with the armbar. If, when we spin, so we just finished our knee cut here, we push the head down, we step here. We post this hand in line with his hip, maybe a foot away, and now we bring this foot up. Notice my foot lands often on the south side of his arm. We said that if he connected his hands, we did not want to keep this leg on this side. We wanted to bring it over. But that was in the general case, not necessarily when my leg is specifically here. When my leg is specifically on this side, we have two important options. One, and this is something we could have used with the open arm position independent of where this leg is. I can bring this over for what Eddie Bravo calls the X break. Here, we want to make sure not to have our back rounded. That can cause some pressure on the back, but really extend our back here. Oh, you okay? Yeah. And push to break and finish. So this is a strong way to break his grip, which actually leads, if I can't break that grip, here he's too strong, it leads to some other setups where I allow him to sit up And I can actually, again, go for a modern style triangle. But what I want to more focus on, so this X break is a useful tool for sure. What I want to more focus on is in this situation, when his hands are connected, instead of bringing my leg over to think about a classic armbar, we're going to fall south shoulder, left shoulder in this case, to his left hip, which brings his head up slightly. We're going to extend this leg so that it not lands, even this looks like it's under his head, but it's still under his shoulder a bit. I want to bring it here. I pull his arms and I'm going to extend this leg to pull his tricep in. Now I can get a very strong triangle finish. What facilitated this was my right foot, my north foot, inside his armpit here. So again, if we land here, which is common with far side spinning armbar, we drop this way, which lifts his head slightly. We extend this leg, and really we want to send it as far back as we can so that it's just under his head, not under his shoulders. We're going to pull his arms. If he lets his arms go, we're going to grab this wrist or this tricep, extend and bite. Now lock up. Try to get your right ankle inside your left knee. Flex both feet. Not flexing like this, but flexing like this. Heels to your butt, and we finish. So an important few follow-ups actually, but the idea being that even though we think of pulling guard sometimes to be a direct leg attack, or we think of it as something specialized to the gi, this is a great way to pull guard, no gi. The next finish or the next sequence we're going to look at, we taught to students a few years ago before a Grappling Industries tournament, and we had 6 people finish fights within 30 seconds. Because it allows you to get into an offensive position right away. So again, any 2 grips, 1, 2, 1, 2, knock him down, come up, knee cut, here, pull, step, spin, and here, if my knee is on that side, and he connects, no problem, we can go X break, or we drop to this side, shoot, extend, and we finish here.
Can you explain, Elliot, why you like or why you advocate pulling guard in that way? Because it's not a very common form of pulling guard.
I advocate pulling guard in this way because it's actually just very effective. And to understand why it's effective, can I get you to stand? This is just more a conceptual framework of open guard. So most of us learn open guard as this position, de la Riva. And this is an important position. In the gi, where I can be grabbing his torso with his collar and his sleeve, there's a lot more upper body control. No gi, here where he's standing, this is not the strongest control. It's very easy for him to disconnect my grips and pass. And the general concept, is this leg inside his legs or outside? It's outside. Generally, inside control is superior. And what I mean by this is, if we rotate this way. So here we've got outside control. Can you do the old man kick? Yeah. If we're in this situation, he starts running around. He's very fast. It's very hard to control him. And outside control, like de la Riva, doesn't do a ton for me to prevent him from disengaging and then starting to pass with pressure. Being on the inside, however, when he tries to start running around, I can track him very easily. Moreover, inside control is what allows us to get to this single leg X position. Now go to run around.
Yeah.
I'm totally tethered to him, right? So the difference in control is really important, and I'm glad you brought this up because although we're focused on, quick finishes, this drill that we're about to show is actually super vital from a number of perspectives. Right now, Stephan, can you knee cut?
Not really.
What's stopping you?
This foot.
Exactly. With this foot on his thigh, he cannot come forward. If we think of 1, 2, 3 levels of distance, I'm keeping him at the 3rd level. So what would you do so that you could knee cut? Yeah, he stuffs that leg, and now he can knee cut, and my knee's not generally going to be sufficient to stop him. Maybe I can get a shin shield, and we'll talk about the value of that. So let's break this situation down. He stuffs my ankle, and say he didn't do the best job of controlling it, well, I can just come back out. So knowing that, when he stuffs it, he might squat on it a bit. So now it's harder to get it out. That's where using this outside leg to create distance, not to push him away, just sufficient to get that out. And this is a really important concept broadly. We're focused on quick finishes in this instructional, but the idea being that a concept from this, or that this exemplifies, someone pushes you back an inch, your job is not to like turn the tables, it's just to go back to that reset, zero state, back to that position you started in. So he stuffs that ankle. If he does not a good job controlling, I come out. If he does a better job controlling, I have to find some other way to get it out. He does an even better job controlling. Here, my leg might not be sufficient. I might need to use this hand to create that distance. He does the same thing and his pressure is even better. I might need to use this hand and let go of his ankle. He does an even better job and starts knee cutting. I might need to bring this shin shield in, not to try to knock him over. If his weight's not on me, yeah, maybe I knock him over, but just enough to bring this leg out to his thigh, and now we can reset. So this idea of using the outside leg to return back to your zero state is actually very important. And this is just about getting back to our De La Riva. Another way we can do it that is going to bridge us to the open guard is when he stuffs and he's sitting low, I can't get it out. What I can do is lean left shoulder over right shoulder and kick his knee up this way. What that did is create space sufficient for me to come here and maybe even attack some of my more advanced De La Riva attacks. So let's put it back. So one more time, he stuffs this ankle. We lean this way. Here, to kick him is very tough with this shoulder on the ground. When I lean my body weight, however, now I can step here and come back to a good De La Riva with this foot free. However, when he stuffs, and we do that here, using this foot here, holds him in place long enough for us to go into inside control. So he stuffs my leg, we make him walk here, we post. Now he's stuck in place because, very important, I actually pulled this ankle off the ground. I can now shoot this through, pull this ankle to my armpit, and come up here. Now, what did I need to make him walk? My ankle on the inside. He created the ankle on the inside, but if I wanted to transition from outside control to inside control, well, I can put it in there first. So this is all a bit of a lengthy explanation for why we're pulling guard this way. When we get whatever upper body control we started with, by stepping in, I'm on the inside immediately. And now I have double inside control, which I can use to sweep, whereas we'll see in our next set, or our next sequence, I can use to come right into one-legged X. Why? Because I'm on the inside. So excellent question. We went on a bit of a tangent, but hopefully that explanation gives you a good understanding of the distinction between outside control and inside control, the difference between a De La Riva and a single leg X, or even just what we call this, the crab grab, where we're pulling with both feet on the inside, and how to transition from one to the other, and as important, why to transition from one to the other.